Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Jason Gregerson and this video is going to be an introduction to question editing and writing in WebAssign. Alright, so I've navigated to my WebAssign homepage. And from here we can certainly create a new question by going to Create and going to Question. And it would bring up a question editor page that would look like this. And from here I could type in a name. I could choose from a variety of different question modes or question types. I could type in my question, my answer, and my solutions and go ahead and save the result. However, for many different question types, ones that involve symbolic equivalence or other more kind of fancy type of questions, this question writing and question answer tool will require a good amount of coding. So you'll need a little bit of Perl, a little bit of LaTeX, a little bit of HTML, kind of all coming together to write nice questions. And why I encourage you to explore that, what I want to stress in this video is you don't have to have all those skills to do basic editing. Instead of starting fresh with a brand new question, what I would encourage you to do is edit or modify existing questions. So for instance, if I wanted to look at a specific section, say section 8.2, surface of revolutions, if I click on my assignment, some things I could do instead of modifying a question would be modify the assignment. For instance, if I wanted to embed a video content, I could embed it directly into the assignment instructions. So this is me embedding a video in the instruction rather than modifying a question. That being said, if I do want to modify a question, maybe I'm pulling from the existing questions that I've pulled from the author. And here is a question that I like. This is setting up an integral to find the area of the surface obtained by rotating a curve about an axis. What I really like is part A, where students are looking at the information, they're setting up an integrand. What I might not like if I was running a quiz or an exam where a calculator wasn't allowed was the requirement to answer part B, where they're actually evaluating these integrals using a tool and putting in a numerical output. So I'd really like to use this question but remove part A, right? That's one edit I might do. I also might want to use the whole question, but maybe insert a video throughout my assignment so that way students can watch this video and then answer a couple questions and maybe watch another video kind of in a workflow. So for either of these type of editing tools, I can just go to View to view the question and then go to Open in Editor. Now it'll bring me to that same question editing tool, but it will have all the information necessary for the specific question, right? So it's already created a name, chosen a mode, and written all the code necessary to run this problem. Now this can look very intimidating. There's a lot of code components in this question writing, and even more so down here in the answer portion where it's using some code to once again evaluate the symbolic equivalences. So what I need to know is how to identify key components of the question code and then modify them. So before I do anything, I'm going to duplicate this question so I can make it my own, retitle it, and kind of save my version. So I would come up here and I would duplicate the question. Now one thing to consider before duplicating is, do you want to keep any of this naming convention here? So what I would do is I would copy this name because there's lots of good information there. And I can see the textbook there, I can see the chapter, the section, and actually the original equation number, question 5 here. So I'm going to copy that information, then I'm going to duplicate the question. Now this is really my question. I'm actually going to keep the same name, but then I'm going to modify it so I can identify that I've edited it. So I might just put my name at the end or have some other naming convention there. So now this is my question. I could save this and really it is mine to edit. Okay, so now different components of the question writing. Well, what I see here at the very beginning, this less than symbol, EQN, greater than symbol, and then I have something similar at the bottom here. This is an open and close tag here, and inside of this top region, in between these two little equation tags, is where I'm going to enter some Perl information. This is where I'm going to create some variables and define some things I'll need later in the question. Right. Now what I can see after that though is some straight text. Consider the following. So I can identify that that's really where my question starts. Right? So what I can do there is, for instance, say I wanted to just embed a video, and that's the only change I wanted to make this equation. Well, I could just paste my iframe content directly at this spot right here. So I could take that iframe content. If I go back to my question here as an example, I could take my iframe content, and instead of putting it up here in the assignment description, I could just paste it right here. And then if I go to preview to see the effects of the changes I've made, I can see that I have the same question, but a video has been embedded here. Now, of course, something that's to consider here is that I have a video and then I have consider the following right here. Oh, why is that? I have to consider the following, and there's some line spacing here. But when you're editing these questions, it really is taking HTML. So if I want a line break, I have to specify a line break using HTML code here. And that code should be this guy right here. All right. So now I've returned this to a new line. So there's a little bit of HTML that will just be very useful as you're editing these questions. All right, so that's one modification I can make. Now the other thing I want to do is remove that part B. So if I scroll down, I can see there's some fancy code here. I got some div tags, I got some LaTeX, which is a way that WebAssign allows us to use LaTeX but still use some Perl variables along the way. And the idea here is that I don't have to really understand a lot of that components. I can clearly see where part A starts. I can clearly see where part B starts. So I can go down here to part B, and I can just eliminate all of part B. I can just delete that content right there. Now I'm going to look down at the answer tab. Now once again, there's a lot of code down here in the answer components. But what I can see if I'm just kind of surveying the code is that I see kind of a first piece. I see an open equation tag, and I get all the way kind of to one component here. And if I'm looking through it, I see this piece right here, 2 pi y square root. And that leads me to believe that this first piece is that first part, the answer to the first part, where I'm inputting some integrand information. And I can see something similar here. I would expect that would be the second answer in part A, that second integrand. And then I have two more lines below, and both of them are ending with this decimal content right here. It just makes sense that these two last pieces would be associated with part B. So I can go ahead and just delete that content for part B right there. Okay. Once I've made those changes, I can come back here, once again preview. You definitely want to preview and you want to test. So here I am re-previewing, and then this preview mode I can type an answer, so I should try to enter something that's correct but maybe just a little bit different in notation, right? Instead of using 1, do 2 minus 1 or something like that. Instead of 2, do 4 divided by 2. So I could test in some content, I can hit submit, it should mark it correct or incorrect depending on what I put in here, and you should test a correct response and an incorrect response. If my preview is all good, I can then go ahead and just save my content. And once I've saved my content, then I'd be back over here in the assignment editor. And once I'm done with that, I can then go to the question browser like I would normally select questions to add to my assignment. And I'll be able to go all of my questions. And from all my questions, I can then see a list of the questions that I've created. I can simply add those to my assignment. All right, so that's really the basics of question editing. That's the way I can just do some kind of superficial editing. I really encourage you, though, if you're interested, to learn more about question writing, because you can really get fully customized questions using this tool. To do that, you're going to want to navigate to the Help menu. And if we scroll down here on the left-hand side of the help, there's going to be a create questions. Now they'll have some basic information getting started that you should read through, but very useful is this video tutorial section. So they have about 5 videos here that really walk you through the basics of defining variables in Perl, how to enter those in, and write questions with them. So I would encourage you that if you really want to write exams in WebAssign or full assessments, and really be creative, to go through these 5 videos. And they should kind of guide you along that path. All right, that concludes this video on question editing and writing in WebAssign. Thank you.